George. Have a think. Stick any questions that you may have in the chat, and Owen will try and take a couple of those at the end. So for the next 20 minutes or so, we'll get a little bit of an insight into what George is up to. So I guess really the first question, George, is exactly that. What are you up to? What does sort of lockdown look like for you?
Yeah, I've been very lucky, to be honest, Gav. So we've been in at Old Trafford 5 days a week at the moment training. So it's given me an excuse to get out of the house a lot. A few different things, you know, obviously we've got the gym available, which is good. We've got S&C coaches and that, and then we've got cricket facilities as well. So my weeks have been fairly busy at the moment, to be fair, and not spending too much time at home, which has, you know, been a benefit, really. I think everyone is a bit bored of being at home at the moment.
Yeah, it is a tough time, isn't it? And it's great to hear that you can stay active for a lot of us that don't fall under that elite category. You know, we've got to try and do as much as we can at home and try and stay really positive. Is there anything you do when you're not at Old Trafford? Are you out for runs, or how are you keeping busy?
Yeah, I've been out running, walking, that sort of thing. I mean, I'm gutted that golf courses are closed because I was getting into that a little bit earlier on, but nah, just walking really. There's not a lot else you can do really, is there? So no, little bits and pieces, and that's it.
Well, nevertheless, thanks for giving your time up today. And I just wanted to get a little bit more detail really and what it would look like for you as a player leading into the season. So you said with the younger group, you're actually only sort of 5 weeks away from the start of the season. So what sort of things would you be working on so close to the start of the season?
Yeah, so this time of year, we're starting to try and get a bit more game specific. So the last 6 weeks of practice that we've had, it's been very technical, very individual, working on particular parts of your game. So for me, it was stuff like my cut shot, my pull shot. I want to develop some of my back foot scoring options. With my bowling, I've been working a little bit on my action, trying to get a bit taller because I collapsed a little bit on my front leg. So I've spent 6 weeks working on that now. And now we're going into a period of time where, without getting a pre-season tour, we're having to try and make it really competitive indoor, and sort of try and start switching on to, you know, game scenario things again, because like I say, I think 23rd of March is our first warm-up game at Chelmsford. And, you know, we need to be in a situation by the time we get out on grass that we're thinking about how we're scoring runs and taking wickets and not just thinking about technique.
Yeah. Okay, so a build up to the season and looking at more game-based. And who would sort of identify that initial work? Again, a player your age, would that come from you? Would you drive that, or coaches seeing things in your balance, in your batting technique, or standing a bit taller in your bowling action? Where's that come from? Who drives that?
Yeah, it's pretty self-driven. You obviously have coaches that, you know, there's people with a lot of experience that I'm working with. People like Glenn Chappell's got nearly 1,000 first-class wickets. So if he says something to me that he thinks is going to help me, I'm going to listen to it and take it on board. But it's pretty self-driven, and at the end of the day, I've got ownership for my game, and you know, if I want to improve, it's on me. So we have these meetings and have these conversations about how I'm going to improve my cricket, but it's self-driven. It's what I think I need to do to improve my game.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I'm going to take you back because I've known you quite a while, George. So I'm going to take you back to your younger days, and I did just see a question pop up around how your journey took place really from Cheshire into Lancashire, and that might come a little bit later in your journey. But tell us about your youngest years. So we've got a group we've got here are generally 14 to 18. But how did it start, and what happened sort of in your junior career? Where were you playing, and what path did you take?
Yeah, so I started at Cheadle Hulme Cricket Club from about the age of 7 or 8, just because my dad was playing there. So I'd, you know, go and watch him and end up in the nets and whatever. And I played age group cricket there until I was about 14 or 15. I played Cheshire age group cricket as well, under yourself and various other coaches. Really enjoyed my cricket. And then at the age of about 15, I realised that if I wanted to improve, I wanted to be playing Premier League club cricket. So I decided to make a move from Cheadle Hulme to Hyde, which was, you know, I found it tough at first. Premier League cricket's really good cricket, and I went and played at Hyde for a couple of years, and then my game sort of started to really kick on, and started scoring runs for Cheshire more and more at ages 15, 16. Played at the Bunbury Festival at 15, and then ended up on Lancashire's Academy when I was 16 or 17, and then sort of just kicked on from there.
Right. And within that then, so there was some challenges there. So you talked about moving Cheadle Hulme to Hyde, which, you know, it's a family club. It's where your dad had played at Cheadle Hulme and your brothers had played. So that was a bit of a challenge in itself, that step up. And alluded to it a little bit earlier that you actually changed your bowling action as well. So you went from a spin bowler into a seam bowler. So a couple of challenges there, then dealing with Bunbury, getting to a World Cup, you know, that could swallow some young people up. How do you deal with sort of challenges and any step up in level that you're coming across?
Yeah, it's not easy. But I think the first thing you've got to accept is that you're going to fail at some point along the journey. You're going to get to a stage where if you're taking the risk like I took going from Cheadle-Hulme, which was a Division 2 club, to going to a Premier League club, you're not going to find it easy straight away, but you've just got to have that confidence in your own ability that, you know, you will perform and you will succeed at some point. And similarly with the changing from spin to seam, I was 14 or 15 when I did that. So same age as some of the people on here, I guess. And, you know, I guess that's a sign that, again, it's not too late to change and improve or get better or whatever, because within the space of three or 4 years, I've gone from never having bowled a ball or seam in my life to opening the bowling for Lancashire in a first-class game, which I never thought was possible. But it just shows you what can happen if you work hard on something, and, you know, you get a little bit lucky along the way as well. I sort of fell on my feet into bowling seam. I didn't choose to do it. I just ended up doing it in a second team game at my club because everyone was injured. But I guess the message there is just keep working hard at your game, and there's a chance for people from Cheshire to succeed.
Okay, and thank you for that. What's the last couple of years been like then? So from that sort of move to Hyde, and then you've had a lot happen, haven't you? You made your first class debut, captained your country at a World Cup. I mean, pretty surreal, I guess. But just tell us about those experiences, George. What's that been like?
Yeah, it's all happened very quickly. Actually, it's been a busy couple of years. Yeah, captaining England at an under-19 World Cup is probably one of, if not my proudest achievement in cricket so far. You know, we had a great group of players, and we lost a couple of games early on in that tournament, which was disappointing. But then to bounce back and win the plate was really good. And again, it's something I never really thought I was good enough to do. Never really sort of expected myself to do. But it just seemed to all happen in a blur, and I ended up captaining my country at a World Cup, playing on Sky, that sort of thing. It was amazing. And then as well, fast forward 6 months, I was making my first class debut, which was another massive achievement. And it's all linked. The fact that I'm playing at an under-19 World Cup, putting myself under pressure, playing with people who are really good players, working with coaches like Ian Bell and John Lewis. It all links together. Just like the more exposure that you have to pressure and a high intensity elite environment, your game starts to improve. And I guess I'm kind of lucky that I've had them opportunities, and hopefully I can kick on and make the most of it over the next couple of seasons.
Yeah, certainly good on you. Thinking around, maybe again, just flipping back, trying to put a little bit of context for the players on the call. Just thinking about some of the building blocks, maybe then, because I think it's really important. It's great to see that lads from Cheshire have a pathway and they can move through, and our link extensively is with Lancashire. We do have other contacts, but in terms of our main link, and I think most players would want to gravitate to Lancashire. It's great to have that. But what sort of were the building blocks? Was anything from maybe our programme or maybe at a young age that you would like to pass on to younger players to help?
Yeah, so the Cheshire courses were a really big part of my development, because every weekend it gave me a new opportunity to, you know, turn up and improve myself as a cricketer. And I think that's the most important thing at the ages of 14, 15, 16, is that you have you have to turn up to every session with the intent that you're going to get better, and that's the way you're going to improve. And then obviously I ended up on Cheshire's EPP program and academy programs, and that gave me even more opportunities to improve. So just using each session as a chance to get better is the key thing that Cheshire cricket gave me, I think, as well as the exposure to go and score runs against, you know, Lancashire, Yorkshire, whatever, which helps you get noticed. But I think the most important thing for me was the courses gave me a chance to improve.
And it's about that, isn't it? It's about volume and again practicing, and often we'll have dips in form, George, and things won't always go our way, but and just trying to use every opportunity to learn. And it's something actually, guys on the call, that Rob Jones talks a lot about as well. Just giving his most to each session. I think that desire and commitment does come through from the pair of you. So it's great to see, and quite aspirational as well for other players coming through. I've just got a couple more technical ones, and then because the chat's blown up a little bit and we've got a lot of questions, I just thought I'd open it up. So my last couple of technical one was just around playing spin, really. Now, for the guys on the calls, we're going to see some footage from Sri Lanka, and Rob share some ideas on sort of his basics to playing spin. But, you know, again, you've played on quite a few different surfaces. Anything that's really important to you, George, when you're playing spin as well?
Yeah, I think when batting against spin, the first thing you've got to do is pick the length as early as possible, and then you've got to make a commitment to either go, you know, as far forward as possible, whether that just be a big stride or using your feet, or if you see it short, get as far back in the crease as you can. And then from that position, you can choose how you want to play. So some Indian coaches I know talk about, you know, playing against the spin as well, because then you can get the full face of the bat against the ball. But for me, it's not really the way I want to play. But as long as I'm either all the way forward or all the way back, it gives me the best opportunity to score. And you don't want to be stuck in that in between, you know, on the crease, where if the ball turns, then you just sort of know where and you end up nicking it, or it ends up hitting you on the pad or whatever. So you either go all the way forward and smother it, or you go all the way back and play it off the pitch and give yourself a chance to see it from there. They just keep it simple, pick the length, move forward or back.
And mate, hopefully you'll agree. But reading length does come with a bit of experience. So maybe as a 7, 8, 9-year-old, that's quite a hard challenge. The older you get, the more exposed you get, you read length better. So I think just making a decisive movement as well. So sometimes we will misread it as youngsters as we're finding our way. But as George said there, try and avoid getting stuck on the crease too much. I think it's really important to be positive either way. And we've seen on the recent tours, really, the depth of crease has really helped people play spin effectively, help batters play spin effectively. So just the last one, really, we've actually got a physical or fitness element, George, and we've got a psychology element coming up as well. And I probably think that two aspects that get a little bit ignored at sort of club level, obviously at elite level, very important, but anything around those two, either in physical or mental or both, that you've reflected on has helped your game? I mean, how important is the physical and mental side?
Yeah, both very important. I think the physical, especially in elite level, it's got a huge emphasis on it. I mean, for example, this winter we spent 2 months in the gym before we even hit a cricket ball, just in the gym and running, because we know that by the time we get to the summer, it's a long, hard summer of cricket, and you know, you get hot conditions. You could have a full day in the field. You know, 2020 cricket is very explosive these days. You need the power to be able to hit the ball out the ground. You know, the strength to be able to bowl long spells in county cricket is very important. And physical elements of cricket can get ignored, and sometimes stereotypically cricketers aren't the most, you know, athletic people. But in the modern game, I think you have to be. And from a psychological point of view, it's very important as well. You know, cricket's a game like no other. You get one chance as a batter. If you nick off, you're out. You don't get another opportunity. And having that sort of mental strength to come back and keep wanting to, you know, approach that challenge in the same way and try and score runs and take wickets, or even the mental side of turning up to training every day and wanting to improve. That's another tough thing to do, because there are days where you wake up and you don't really want to practice. But when you get to that net, you need to be able to switch on and practice and focus. So yeah, I think they're both very important.
Thanks, mate. Brill. And we will pick that up. We'll maybe give you a couple of resources to consider that. But George, I think, yeah, we've got quite a few questions that have come in. So, if you wouldn't mind sharing some with us.
Yeah, got a couple of questions come in. First one, what kept you motivated at a young age?
I think just the enjoyment of the game, to be honest. I wanted to practice and I wanted to play. You know, there wasn't ever anyone, you know, my dad loves his cricket, but he was never like over my shoulder telling me, you know, I want you to be doing this, I want you to play, I want you to practice. It was always just the fact that I enjoyed playing that made me keep turning up every week. So yeah.
Brilliant. How do you adapt best from playing on an Astro wicket or indoor nets to going onto a wicket, grass wicket?
Yeah, it's tough. That's a challenge a lot of people face this year, especially in elite cricket, because we're not getting on pre-season tours. But I think you just got to try and tell yourself to play the ball as late as possible, and just try and keep it as simple as that. Don't try and change too much about your game, but just play it late and maybe think about your game plan. You might not want to be driving as much early on if the pitches are a little bit slow. But yeah, just play it late and think about your game plan.
Fantastic. How many hours a day are you currently training, or how many hours a week are you currently training?
Right. So
What does it look like? So just give us
yeah,
an
so
idea
I'll
of your.
talk you through my weekly plan if you want. So
Yeah,
Monday,
go for it.
Monday I've got gym for 2 hours, cricket for 2 hours. Tuesday I've got a running session and cricket for 2 hours again. Wednesday I'm just in the gym. Thursday I've got running and cricket, and then Friday it's just a gym session. So it's a pretty simple week really, and it's just weekends off as well. They give us weekends off, which is always nice.
And what sort of things, just to give us a really quick outline of what sort of things are you doing in the gym, and what sort of things are you doing in your cricket sessions currently
Yeah.
at this
So
time of year?
yeah, my gym is it's a lot lower body focus. So my standard gym session would be 6 leg exercises, 1 push and 1 pull with my upper body, plus a core circuit. So obviously as a bowler, a lot of your strength and your power comes from your lower half. So that's the main focus for me, especially as a lad who's a little bit skinny. I sort of I've been targeted a little bit in the gym this year, and they're trying to get me a bit stronger. But then my cricket is I generally split mine because I'm an all-rounder, about an hour and 15 minutes of bowling, an hour and 15 minutes of batting if I can. My batting session would generally look like about half an hour, quite specific on something that I want to work on technically. So I might want to, so I'll go get the batting coach, Mark Chilton, and I'll do half an hour with him on, the technique of my pull shot, batting against spin, whatever. And then after that, I'll generally go and face some bowlers and try and switch into a game plan sort of mode and get in a competitive sort of environment. I think you're on mute, Owen.
Sorry, technical issues there. Who's been the toughest bowler you've faced currently, and the toughest batter that you've come across? In any way, it could be getting them out, or actually you've just felt, look, they're really strong and I've got issues to find a way.
I think batting against, I mean, I faced Jimmy Anderson in a net with a new Dukes, and that was ridiculously hard. And that was just in the net, and there was no real pressure on me to, if I got out, I got out. It didn't really matter, but that was a ridiculously good challenge. I faced Ollie Stone in a second team game last year actually, and he bowled quick, so that wasn't much fun. And in terms of people I've bowled at, Ben Duckett is probably someone who put me under a lot of pressure. He took me on, and he tried to play shots against me and put me under a bit of pressure, which was tough.
Great, good news. And what's your greatest achievement as a cricketer?
I think there's probably 2. Firstly, having the honour to captain England at an under 19 level was massive for me. I really enjoyed doing that, and I was very proud of that. And then making my first class debut as well, it felt like a bit of a culmination of all my work through the age groups and through the academy at Lancs.
Brilliant. Cheers, George. We may have a few minutes time, but that's about it for now. Cheers,
excellent, mate. No problem.
Yeah, thank you again, George. So I know there was quite a few questions posed in the chat, and if we get a chance to follow up after the call, we certainly will. But I just wanted to say thanks again for your time, George. Really insightful, really useful to see your journey. And I think, again, once we hear from Rob and his experience, I think important to understand a player from Cheshire just has as much opportunity as a player from anywhere else in the country, and our pathway and our links help with that. So George is good evidence of it. Great to hear he's doing well, and I just want to wish him all the best over the coming year. So thanks again, George.